All right. Thanks so much for taking the time and for considering the possibility of working with Crosspaint. This video is just here to give you a little bit of an understanding of what is actually implied in working in this project, okay? And I have this super sophisticated presentation that I'm going to show you right now, and we'll go through it step by step. Okay, here are the different criteria that I wrote together, which I think are important for you to know before we embark on this journey together. So, I personally think that it is quite an interesting and important project, and it might look quite shiny and bright from outside. When you look at it, you think like, hey, this is pretty cool. If I would have been, if I would have seen this from outside, I would think this is a very, very cool project on the internet, something that has to do with the Bible and passing on this wonderful message. And we had a lot of very, very, very good feedback. But today I want to discuss a little bit what is behind it and how much work it is, and maybe scare you a little bit off, but it's important, that we have this discussion now and not in a few weeks, when you see the scale of work that is implied to actually do this, okay? So the first thing is what I want to speak about is maybe a few words about myself, because it's a personal project and you need to understand that what leadership is, and that is very important for us. It's not just something happy clappy, everybody can join and do whatever they want. It's quite directed, and I know pretty much where I want to go with this. So the paradox is that on the one side it's a team effort, and on the other side it's what I don't want to do is to create an organization or a machine, that is just made of a lot of people and nobody actually is leading this, especially when it comes to the Lord. And I think every ministry is a personal ministry. There's a personal calling. So this is a personal calling that I have. And but I think we can, the real strengths come just through teamwork. Okay, and these two things basically come together. On the one side, a calling, personal calling; on the other side, working as a team together. But this will bring you actually to the how we're organized. It means that I personally, and I know this from my startup, I'm a macro manager. That means I don't go too much into like micromanaging people and telling them every single step. I'm a great supporter, and I like to go into, like, when somebody really needs help where I have much more expertise and I can help them, I'll very much micromanage and go very much into detail, because I think it's really the details that matter. But from this on, I love to see people rise and people their own creativity and finding their place. And I will, you will see that there will be a lot of space, a lot of things that you have to figure out on yourself. And I demand it even from people, to then figure out things on their own. Another thing is you need to understand that I'm a bit of a freak. That's also important. We work in a startup. We have a startup mentality. That means that we juggle things around, and we don't have a problem of completely changing things after a while, if we think that it is important for the audience we are talking to, or for the times. If we would discover that, let's say, text become very important, we would change everything around and we would just stop completely video and just do text, because people then would just read text. But at the moment, we think that people watch mainly video. And that's why we embark on the journey in this way. Okay. When I say freak, also I say that you should be quite flexible in terms of ideas. Like I have quite a span between having a video game music YouTube channel, and on the other side having loving the Bible. Having sometimes very conservative views, sometimes very liberal views. That's a bit of a stretch. And you have to understand that this is part of what I believe. I don't think it's actually something that's bad. I think it's very good to be open, and I really, really believe in diversity and having diverse people also in the group and different ideas. Okay. Another thing is biblical convictions are obviously you have to, what should I say? I believe in the gospel. I believe in the literal interpretation of the Bible, and I believe, and you should believe the same. Otherwise, it's impossible to work together. The Bible says, "How can two people work together if they have not agreed beforehand?" So that's something that we absolutely need to agree on. Not on every aspect; it's impossible. But on the core values like the gospel, like on when it comes to the church, I believe in the one church. It means that every believer belongs to the church, and I'm very, very strongly against clubs. Okay, by clubs I mean basically ecclesiastical structures that are made by men and who have a financial system, who have a political system. Very, very opposed to that. However, if you are part of this, we're still brother and sister, and we can talk together and can see how we could work together. Sometimes there are also reasons why we stay where we are, and I think it's not always a bad thing. But we'd have to speak beforehand about this, because this is quite an important point. Then the second point is loyalty. This is very, very important. It's maybe one of the most important points in the work that we do. 1 Corinthians 4:2 says that the most important thing that want to find in somebody who is working with is stewardship. And so stewardship is a very, very important. Faithfulness is very, very important in what we do. And this is important because the project that we're doing, from the outside, it looks all bright and shiny, but in the long run, it will be a lot of repetitive and boring tasks that you need to do. And you find this wherever you go in companies. The job description is all sounds very, very cool, or a job title. But when you later look into it, every job is quite boring actually. But the whole thing then becomes very, very interesting. And very, very powerful, and also on the long term to see the effect of your work. This is what is actually very exciting. All right, that was a little bit of a cut. We just continue at the point with when it comes to the vision. Brilliant visions, they're not that important. What is important is the execution. There are great ideas out there. Like for example, who's going to build the next fridge, and put it in relation with Amazon, and you get your food ordered to directly at home to your fridge, or your fridge orders your food. It's a wonderful idea. It's out there, but actually, who's going to win this race is the startups, one of the 200 that are working on it, who are going to execute it in the best way. That's why getting the job done is so important for us, and that's why the team is so incredibly important. Now, when it comes to the teams, we don't need egos, okay? That means you need to be an excellent team worker, and you need to be able to work in an international team. And when I say team worker, I really mean team worker. Everybody thinks that they're a team worker, but you should really know, do I like to work with people and make people strive? Do I value others, people's idea? And this is just a personality thing, that you need to know about yourself, whether you're capable of doing this based on your past experience, not on your willingness. Everybody's willing, but just look back. Did you work with teams before, and did it work out? Yes, no, and then the decision is taken. Okay, let's go on with this brilliant presentation. Next thing is expertise. It's important, but not actually that important, because a lot of the things that we do, we can train you on. If you're a designer, for example, animator, you need a little bit of understanding, for example, of the softwares, but then we can train you on the job. And we have brilliant people, like the one sitting here in the back, who are going to do this. But we value character much more than expertise. That's important. Next thing, positive. It's not positive thinking, forget about it, but it's very important to have people who are positive. So if you're generally somebody who sees problem everywhere, who's very complicated in their thinking, sorry, that's not us. Okay, why? Because we need it's quite difficult to put out this content. There's a lot of work involved. It is voluntary work, and we need a lot of speed. Like in social media, you need a lot of speed. So we cannot stay there and talk things over and over, and we cannot do coaching, you know, and helping people on their way. It's also not a work where we do pastoral service, you know, and we engage people that need, like, where it could help them in their spiritual journey. That's not us, you know. It's really, really focused, and we really need to get the job done and have excellent people on board. Then when it comes to you need to be stress resistant and willing to suffer. Why? Because we want to make a difference for Christ in the world on social media, and anything that is public, anything that is that makes a difference in the world has always been combined with suffering. People will like you, and then they will hate you after a while. You know, this is and probably those that are closest to you, as we see with the Lord Jesus. So it's really something where you have to be willing to take your part of the suffering and say, like, hey, this is something I want to do, and I know I'm going to get a few hits, and that's okay because I do it for Christ, but it's in the package. Focus. You need to be focused on this, obviously, you know, beside your local work and your work and your local ministry. You can't do 3,000 things beside this. So if you're already in another ministry and it takes a lot of your time, just forget about it. You know, this is going to take a lot of your energy and resources. Finance, we're looking into a few full-time positions in the future, but most of it will be part-time work. We think that the worker is worthy of its salary, so whenever you work, you should get a salary, but at the moment, obviously, we are very short in resources. On the long run, if we should do crowdfunding and get some money, we would like, you know, to pay it off, but probably most of the people will sacrifice their time to the Lord. But then we really see it as a sacrifice. We don't take it for granted that people would just invest their time and their creativity, which is amazing, into this, and just, you know, they don't get anything, but some of the stuff will be able to pay like money on this earth, and the rest the Lord will really pay back in crowns. Yes, otherwise we're super happy to have your time. If you have watched till here, that's just amazing. And now I'm going to speak about the position that we are currently looking into, which are basically these here. So first, it's animators, and as I said before, we don't need like Walt Disney animators who have worked 10 years, you know, in animation. No, if you have done anything in animation, that's amply enough, you know, that's perfect. Or you have designed a little bit, you know, on Photoshop, and you should be acquainted a little bit with Adobe and have already a little bit of a creative background, you know. We're not going to train people from scratch. That's not going to happen. Secondly, we need copywriters. Copywriters is a more technical term, but basically means it's probably going to be more experienced Christians. People who have worked with young people and know very well the Bible and can basically take the message from the Bible and put it into a short story with images, which then the animators will take and design and then put into animation. Okay, it's probably going to be Bible teachers. You can say copywriters are basically Bible teachers, but I say copywriter because we need the skill of people that can explain or tell the story in a very attractive manner that will keep people's attention, or get people's attention and really keep them attentive during the video. Now, after copywriters, we have audio engineers, and audio engineers are basically people that take the video and then put sounds in it to make it more real. You know, it's like basically you should be acquainted with audio engineering and sound engineering. Have like basic to average intermediate knowledge. Okay, that would be really nice. We need 2 web designers. For the audio engineer, we need 1 right now. For the web designers, we need 1 or 2. Somebody who's going to build up the website. It's going to be an e-learning platform. You're going to work with somebody that we have already who will be working on this. You should be able to in coding, programming. Okay, that should be something that you're familiar with. And you will see later the job description more in detail. Then we need designers, but this is different from the animators. It's more community managers. It's going to is people who will be on Facebook, who will be on Instagram, on all the other platforms, on Snapchat and so on, who will take the stuff that we see in the videos and then transform it and will tell the story on these different platforms like posts, Bible verse post, quizzes, images and so on, and then respond when people send messages through these platforms, respond to YouTube comments and so on, and really be like what you call a community manager. Yeah, that's basically it. Below this video you will see links and where you will find the job description of these at least 4. I think the community managers will come later. And yeah, have a read. It's very, very detailed of what you're going to do, how much time it involves and so on. And then just let me know, okay? You can reach out to me through the contacts below or through the venues of probably Instagram is the best one. Just send me a message on crosspaint.tv on Instagram and we keep talking, okay? Thank you so much for your attention and talk to you soon.